welcome back to Two Dudes Audio. My name is Sean. Chaz and I are really into column systems lately, and today we have the QSC KC12, and we can't wait to show you what this thing can do. Let's unbox it and see what's inside. Manual. Whew, got some weight. That is smooth plastic on top. And this power cord is just 4 inches short of 10 feet. And this is a locking power cord too. That's a nice feature. And now we're gonna unbox the top. Let's just flip it upside down. Let's see what's inside the padded case. Wow, and padded is right. Look at that thick padding in there to protect it. I like that. So this would be the riser pole. You can just install that on there like that. And then we have the column top right here. And then that would just install like this. Ooh, it's tall. So this is coming in at almost 7.5 feet. So this column is nice and tall, but it does have a fixed angle to shoot the sound downward. It would be nice if it had an adjustable angle. The sound coverage is supposed to be 145 degrees horizontal and 35 degrees vertical. So now that we have this all together, we're just gonna go over some cosmetic things that we're noticing right out of the gate. And the first thing I don't really care for is the seam between the pole and the top column. There's like a little bit of a gap here that it doesn't look the best. They could really improve this by just having like a rubber gasket here. It's not a huge issue, it's just something that I noticed. So really when you go to install it, if you push down really hard and give it a wiggle, it does improve it. The gap gets smaller, but you also don't want to jam it in there. Oh, it's getting better. So that's less noticeable, but it's still there. And then this is the first time we've experienced this, but we're looking this thing over and it's actually missing 2 screws on the grill. And we checked the packaging. It's not like they fell out during shipping. They piloted the holes and then they just never put screws in them. I'm honestly shocked. That's kind of embarrassing for QSC. They're better than that, and they know they are. You can simply install just the column for a much more compact, let me get a height on this, just under 5 feet. So if you're already above the audience on the stage, this 5-foot compact setup is probably much more ideal. So now that we've had a good look at the overall setup of this, we can take a look at the construction of it. It's got a metal grill. It's probably like a birchwood cabinet. This has a smooth plastic top with a hard plastic handle. The pole risers are made of metal. And then you're back to plastic housing for the top column. You have a metal grill here. With the 7.5-foot setup, the overall weight of this is 60 pounds. There are no side handles, it's just this top handle, so we definitely recommend setting it up where you would like to have it so that you're not lifting it and trying to waddle it into position. Here you can see the fixed angle that it has set up. So now we're looking at the back panel and you can see the amplifier has some built-in features. You've got an LED screen, you've got 3 channels, A, B, and C. You have a Bluetooth connectivity option. You've got XLR with 1/4 inch. It does have a USB-C port on the back, which you could use for various things. You could charge items. It might even possibly be for firmware updates. We're not entirely sure. It is nice to see a cooling fan in there. You've got your on-off switch and of course your power input. And now we're gonna see what happens when we turn this thing on. Hopefully nothing crazy. Nope, pretty normal. We have the LED screen came on, the cooling fan came on for a moment and is now turning off because it's not yet needed. On this backlit display, you've got all different customizable settings for each channel. You have reverb, you have sub-level control. You can boost it or you can turn the sub off if you want. You've got contour and you've got EQ, a 4-band EQ that you can adjust the way you like it with some presets. It does include a delay and it does have Bluetooth. Now we're gonna try a frequency sweep. The volume is half and the EQ setting is flat. Now we're going to test how loud this column system gets at full volume at head height level from 10 feet away. And now we're going to test the volume at floor level at full volume from 10 feet away. So now we're going to do a decibel test at head level from 1 meter away. And of course, QSC has their infamous blue light power indicator on the front that actually turns red when the unit is clipping. Now it's time to open this baby up and see what's inside. Inside we find a 12-inch driver with an accordion style surround. This is made from a treated cloth, and it's made for high durability, minimal distortion, and efficient bass reproduction. We notice the dust cap has like a little bit of a fiberglass in it. And down here we have a port. And now it's time for a bass excursion test. We're going to max out the volume on this baby and blast some bass frequencies through here and see how much that speaker moves around. Now we're going to uninstall the speaker itself so we can free air it. So what we're looking at inside, it doesn't look like there's any basket venting, but there is venting for the voice coil around here, and you also have a pole vent with some insulation inside. Looks like we have a 2.5-inch voice coil, and it also has a spider gap ring. We've got spade connectors here. Looks like pretty thick wire, about 16 gauge. On the top you see the Bluetooth transmitter. It has a sealed amplifier there, and it also has some bracing. This is going to be a dyno power test, and it is a frequency sweep at full volume with the sub set to deep. We're going to try another dyno test, but we set the sub level to boost. Now we're going to try a real-time power test with the sub level set to boost. This is a real-world power test with the sub-level set to deep. So we've been playing bass-heavy music through this speaker for almost 10 minutes now, and we're going to open it up and see what kind of temperatures we're achieving inside. How hot? 112 degrees inside the speaker.
119 on the voice coil.
119 on the voice coil.
The magnet's warm. 119 on the top.
So we have audio playing through the amp right now, but the speaker's not hooked up, so you're not going to hear anything. And now we're going to uninstall the plate amp. So this is the Bluetooth transmitter. It's just on the outside of the plate amp. Inside the cabinet, you can see the crossover. So we still have been sending a music signal through the amplifier, but we have it opened up so we can see inside what kind of heat it's throwing off. So it looks like the resistors in there are getting warmest, like 150 degrees. Now we're going to open up the top column and see what's inside. Inside this thing, we are seeing two high excursion, mid-range 4-inch drivers. Behind this is actually a 1-inch compression driver, and what this is QSC's Leaf, Length Equalized Acoustic Flare. It's supposed to dissipate the sound very efficiently. Let's take this apart some more and see if we can see what's going on here. These 4-inch drivers look like they're coated in some sort of material, probably for weather resistance. It's like a rubber coating. Inside of the column is made of plastic. I don't see any kind of like acoustic insulation in there. Not that they would really need it. And now we're going to take off this leaf. There's your compression driver. Chaz and I are here at a real live music venue to show you what it can really do. This column system is designed to be portable. This makes it great for street performers or buskers to get it into tight spaces, but can it put out enough sound to fill the space of a medium-sized venue? So now we've got the KC12 standing at its full 7.5 feet, and we also brought, for comparison purposes, another column system. This is the Harbinger MLS 1000. This column system is less than half the price of the QSC, so it is not an apples to apples comparison. This only has a 10-inch subwoofer versus the QSC's 12-inch subwoofer. So the first thing we're going to try is to put some audio through this system, through the QSC. I've got an SM58 microphone running through it, and it's at half volume at flat EQ. First thing I'm noticing is the vocals are nice and loud and clear, and there's absolutely no hiss coming from this system at all. It is dead silent. Now we're going to try sending some guitar through the QSC with some vocals to see how it would sound for a performer. Test 1, 2, 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 test. The guitar is nice and loud and clear. The vocals kind of fit right along with it. I have this at 3/4 volume. The guitar's at 3/4 volume, vocals are at 3/4 volume. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Right now the guitar is at max volume and the vocals are as far as I can turn them up without feeding back. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Okay, so now this is the Harbinger column system. I've got the guitar at 3/4 volume and I have the microphone less than half volume because that's as loud as I can get the mic without it feeding back. But it does sound nice and loud, but I am still getting almost slight feedback. But here we go. Test 1, 2, 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 test 1, 2.
So bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes up in the first street.
That's really loud.
So now's the part where Chaz and I go over the pros and cons, the things we liked and the things we didn't like about the QSC KC12.
So what things didn't you like, Sean?
Well, I didn't like that it didn't have all its screws.
That is certainly not a good thing.
It came missing 2 of the screws in the grill. So it is incomplete.
When it comes to the low end, it's all right, but you could definitely hear the mechanical limitations of the sub when you crank it.
I also didn't like the gap that appears in the column extension. That's just a cosmetic thing. It's not major, but didn't care for it.
Another thing that I don't like that would be nice is maybe having side handles that might get in the way of the speaker itself though, down here.
Maybe. I also noticed the microphone didn't seem to get as loud as audio played through it. Audio played through it gets crazy loud. The microphone didn't seem to get nearly as loud for some reason.
Yeah, this could be a good or bad if you're just using it by itself, you know, when you're playing guitar. But if you're using a mixer, you can obviously boost that signal going into here.
So one thing I forgot to mention, one thing I don't like about the QSC system is that it came with a nice carry bag for the column top, but absolutely nothing to cover the sub. So what did we like about this system, Chaz?
Well, we did like the build quality overall besides the missing screws. The build
well
quality
made.
is nice and it looks nice.
I like that they give you height options for it.
This is definitely probably the loudest column system I've heard personally.
Same.
I'm glad that this thing has so many inputs, including the Bluetooth.
I like that the LCD screen actually gives you a lot of options for the onboard DSP, and there's a lot of control there for how you want this to sound and function.
And I really like that you can use this as a standalone subwoofer. You have the option to change that.
That's right.
So we talked about that it gets really loud for a column system, but the clarity for vocals and instruments, it's so good.
I think it's the clearest column system we've ever heard.
Absolutely.
With absolutely no hiss at all.
Zero hiss. This thing turned all the way up, there was nothing. You are paying a premium for $2,000. That is up there with the top of the line column systems.
QSC.
But it doesn't disappoint when it comes to performance.
So now's the time when we have to give this thing a dude score. So for the QSC KC12, we are giving it
a 7. Why is it just a 7, Sean?
wow. Well, we were thinking
An 8.
an 8. But then it is incomplete with the missing screws, so unfortunately it got knocked back to a 7. It still functioned as it should, but as a brand new product, it has to be complete.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on.
Exactly.
It has to be complete.
But it's a solid 7. It sounds awesome for what it is. If you're looking for super lows, I would get something to complement this 12-inch because it's not going to do it for you. It's more of a punchy bass, but it can fill a room. Just a single one filled a 400 cap room perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Just don't push the low end. So that's it for this video. If you can like this video and subscribe and maybe leave a comment for what you think we should do next, please do that.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.